everybody? Welcome to the American Magpie Show. Hey, you like that intro, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Actually, I just made it in the last 20 minutes. So
I tell you what, that's good stuff.
yeah, man. Yeah, of course. How you doing, Dan?
Why all good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we won today, man. It's always
Into the fifth round. What can you ask for?
that's it. Well, some people are gonna say we didn't play good. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest game, was it?
No, it wasn't exciting. But the two Geordie boys got the job done. So
Yeah.
what more can you ask for? There was a time way back when I started supporting the club. We couldn't go to London and expect to win. So walking away from Fulham with a bye into the next round, or a seed into the next round, and then
Yeah.
walking away from London, walking away from an away game this season with anything is also good. So
Yeah. And people didn't like that shirt you're wearing. They think it's bad luck,
I,
you know. But we won today. It's good, man.
again, they won in it, so maybe that restores a little bit of luck. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
But for the first time, we're having the first American Magpie show. Hopefully, we can add more American fans that want to come on down the line.
I've got a bunch of them, so we can
Yeah, man.
absolutely make that happen.
Yeah, we need to grow the fan base, and of course,
Yeah,
get a little bit of this American perspective when it comes to Newcastle. And we got
certainly.
this time works pretty good because it's midnight. It's the weekend for some UK folk, so they jump on. They are commenting right now, so we're definitely going to get into their comments. But I want to kind of get the fans of the show to know you a little bit.
Sure.
And you actually have a pretty cool history when it comes to Newcastle. And unlike popular belief, who people think that Americans, we became Newcastle fans last year
since the takeover, right? Yeah.
Well, Dan has a pretty cool story and pictures and videos to back it up. So now he was younger. He was younger then, and that beard wasn't that long. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit. How did you become a fan, and all that stuff?
I think this is probably rehash for some of your other viewers that know who I am, have seen me around.
Yeah.
I started following Newcastle back in '94, so this is 30 years this year. I was at college in North Carolina, and I lived in a stairwell with 4 apartments, and 2 of the guys that lived in the apartment were from Dublin, Ireland, and one of them was from Malaysia, and they were all Premier League fans.
Right.
So on Sunday nights at midnight, locally on our local cable access show, they would show match of the day highlights that were 2 weeks old. You got to keep in mind, Chris, the internet wasn't the internet that we have today. It was dial up, AOL. We didn't have teletext. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So we would watch match of the day, 2 weeks old. Of course, the guys the Dubliners, they got messages from their families back home all the time via email and such. So they kind of knew what was going on. But anyway, it's a 2-hour program. So starting at midnight, and I had an 8 o'clock class on Monday mornings, and they were watching it on my TV in my living room, and it's kind of hard not to, participate. So I started watching with them, and this was the 94, 95 season, 93, 94, 94, 95, the first season in the Premier League. Andy Cole, Peter Beardsley, Scott Sellers. Rob
I'm
Lee.
just gonna tell you. Let me interrupt you real quick because it's crazy. But I was born in '94.
There you go.
Continue.
So the 2 Dubliners, one was a Liverpool supporter, the other one was a Man United supporter. The kid from Malaysia was also a Manchester United supporter. They wanted me to support, their teams. I'm watching the Premier League, and I'm sitting there going, I don't like red. I don't look good in red. Blue. In that day and age, there were gang initiations going on as well. So red and blue were,
Right.
colors. And so I picked black and white stripes because I was sitting there going, they look like American football referees. No one's going to be in trouble. Yeah, I'll take that. And then, of course, the next season they were sponsored by Newcastle Brown Ale on the front, and then it all just
Yeah.
kind of lined up. So that's how it started. Was really just I had to pick a team in college
Yeah.
when I sat and watched Match of the Day with my roommates, and I've been a Newcastle supporter ever since.
Yeah.
Then I came out to California in 1996 after graduation, and they said and Aston Villa came over and played the San Jose Clash of the brand new Major League Soccer league in the States. I live about an hour away from San Jose. So I said to myself, if Newcastle ever comes to the United States, I don't care where they are, I'm going to go watch them.
Right.
And the Liverpool fan from Dublin sent me an email and asked me to be the best man in his wedding. And I said yes, because I'd never been to Dublin before. And the girl that I was dating then, who is now my wife, she got asked to be the maid of honor in a wedding in Santa Barbara on the exact same day. So she was all excited about going to Dublin with me because she had gone to Trinity College for a year as an exchange student. So she was excited about going to Dublin with me to show me the city. All of a sudden, she couldn't go because she was asked to be the maid of honor in a wedding on the exact same day. And then about 2 weeks after I said yes to being the best man in a wedding, Bobby Robson announces that he's bringing Newcastle to America on a tour.
Oh
And we're
no.
playing, I think it was either they were playing Columbus Crew at Columbus Crew, or they were playing DC United at RFK Stadium on the exact same day as the wedding. So I couldn't see my team in my country. So when I got to London, I flew into Heathrow. I got a train from King's Cross Station and went up to Newcastle and got to see them train for just, a couple of hours at the old Chesterley Street training ground, cricket ground. I watched there for a little bit, and then they got on a plane and went to the United States, and I got on a train and then a ferry and went to Dublin. So there you go. And then the last one, and then go ahead, start.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, if we had beer, we'd continue talking for the rest of the night. So, no, go ahead. You were going to ask something.
Well, I mean, that is a pretty cool story, actually. But so is that because I saw pictures of you. You were a lot younger, of course, but you had a goatee.
Yep.
And I think it was with your, but it didn't look. I don't know if it was St. James's Park or not.
Yeah.
So was that the first time you went to the UK?
In 2000, the first time I went to the UK? No. My father, my late father was in the army, so I was stationed in Germany, so I was familiar with many cities in Europe. We had traveled quite a bit when we were stationed there. It was my first time back in the UK since the late 80s. But yeah, my wife and I so I went over in 2000. My wife and I got married in 2002. And at our wedding reception, my wife surprised me with plane tickets to Heathrow and 2 tickets to see St. James's Park to see the Good Friday match against Everton right after so we were honeymooning in Newcastle. And if you've been scouring my social media, you may have seen the headline. We were on the front page of the
I saw a newspaper.
Journal. Yep. We were on the front page of the newspaper asking why did the Devlins travel 5,000 miles for a honey tune? And
Then and I wasn't stalking. I was just looking for pictures for the intro. But yeah,
much younger pictures of me from back then, and yes, not the big beard, just the goatee. And we were on Tyneside and started talking to a guy in the Strawberry Pub, and he was having problems with his laptop, and I helped him get joined to a Wi-Fi signal that he could type from. Turns out he wrote for the Chronicle. So he got on his cell phone and invited a reporter down, and they came down and interviewed us for, why are Americans in Newcastle, and why are they Newcastle fans? and so we wound up in the Journal the next morning. We were interviewed by BBC Radio, by BBC Television. We were invited to the Millennium Bridge to meet up with a reporter from ITV, who then offered to take us up to St. James's Park to get some footage for the piece for the news that night at St. James's Park. And while we were there, we bumped into Craig Bellamy, and Craig Bellamy then introduced us to Sir Bobby Robson, and then we were invited to come back the following day to go to training. But by that time, we were on the front page of the newspaper. We were on page 3 of the Sun. If you're familiar with page 3 of the Sun, that's where people like Samantha Fox got her start. There was always a topless young lady on page 3 of the Sun, and so I tell everybody that I married a page 3 girl because we were on page 3 of the Sun. So I mean, Chris, I could go on and on and on about my love affair.
Oh, I love it, man. Listen, this is our first ever show, and it's people know already how I became a fan. Alberto Solano, it's pretty cut and dry. But people want to know you, man. We had Ian McKenna comment and say, "Can't wait to meet Dan." We got a lot of people trying to meet you, and it's great. It's great because one of the our purposes for this channel is to grow the fan base and to show people, that we can, because people always ask us, and it's crazy. I'm sure it's happened to you. Why Newcastle? I mean, it could have been any other club, and I don't have to explain to you why. I mean, I do it. It's cool, but all the time you get that question. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Is there a reason really to love a team? I mean, you just love it.
Well, there are, and it's a derogatory, comment, but you could call people glory hunters all day. You can, tell, there are people who they like Manchester United because, quite frankly, they're the Yankees of English football. Hey, Mighty Mag. We got folks that became Chelsea fans because they were the big spenders way back when, before Man City. But then again, I've got friends who are, one of my best friends has changed his allegiance more times than I think he's changed his underwear. He was a Wigan fan, he was a Reading fan, he was a Wolves fan. Now he's a Liverpool supporter. He's been a Liverpool supporter for about 20 years now. So I'm not going to give him too much stick, but there was a time where it was just like, dude, pick a team and just stick with it. I've never faltered. I've never switched allegiances to someone else. I mean, when we were relegated twice, I watched as often as I could. The coverage of the championship was not what it is today. It's much better now. So does it really matter how people pick a club, as long as they've got a club and they're supporting that club and they love the game? That's the most important thing. If you like soccer, does Dan remember the Alex Matthew goal against Sheffield Wednesday in our first season in the Prem? Yes. I do.
Damn.
It's been a while, and this will make some of the Geordies laugh, because I think I mentioned it the other night. I was on Baz's show through Black and White Eyes, and I said I really started for me getting to know the players back in 93, 94 was watching the Match of the Day highlights. And my poli-sci instructor had a bootleg copy of Championship Manager 93, 94, which is now Football Manager. Everybody knows what Football Manager is. So because I picked Newcastle, nobody wanted Newcastle. I was getting to know the players. And of course, the first player I sold from Newcastle was Rob Lee, because he was worth the most. I was trying to generate funds. So I got
FFP, man.
750,000 pounds for Rob Lee, and I turned around and I bought Julian Joachim from Leicester City in order to do good things. So, but in terms of American fans, Chris, I mean, yes, we did the tour on the East Coast this last summer, and I will tell you.
Did you just go to the UK not too long ago?
We
Is
were
that the
in
same
the
thing?
UK. My wife and I went to another story. Get a beer. Uh,
Yeah.
the other there's another fan that you need to know that we've got to get on here is John O'Hare from
Of course.
Oklahoma. Yep. So
Yeah.
John O'Hare sent me a message one day via Twitter saying, can I talk to you? And so I gave him my phone number and we chatted, and he said, look, I've got a ticket to the Brighton match at the end of May. If you can make it to Newcastle, the ticket's yours. So I said, let me go talk to my travel agent. And I ran upstairs, talked to my wife, and she said, when do we leave? So we went to Newcastle back in May, and met a whole bunch of people from our honeymoon that we know. I met
Wow.
a college friend of mine that I went to college with, also from Dublin. She married a Geordie. She and her husband and their daughter still live there. So we got together with them. We got together with friends that we made on our honeymoon 22 years ago, and hung out with them. Then we met hundreds of new people because we were with John O'Hare. I mean, everybody knows John in Newcastle. So
Yeah, I don't
dude,
know,
that was a
like,
blast. What's
yeah,
that?
I don't know too much into like John's story, how he
This
is
is a good
how
one
he's
too.
so known. He's so known in Newcastle. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's not from. He's from here, isn't he? I mean,
His father was a Geordie. His
oh,
father was
okay,
born in
gotcha.
Newcastle. So I mean, he's got Newcastle in the blood. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's always followed Newcastle. There's pictures of him with his now 37-year-old son sitting on his lap when he was a toddler, and they're both wearing Newcastle kits. So I mean, he's been
Wow.
a lifelong Newcastle fan, but he with the takeover, the good times were returning to Tyneside. So he told his wife, same thing. I've got to get there, and they went, and the way he has become known has been completely organic and so wonderful a story to hear as well. And then there's Shade Heartline down in San Diego, the one of the San Diego mags, along with Eddie Lucero and Richard Hawkins, who's an expat, a Geordie who now lives in San Diego. We've gotten together a couple of times when my USL club, Monterey Bay Football Club, played San Diego Loyal down in San Diego. So we went down for away games, and we'd hang out, and we went to the Bluefoot Bar in North Park and watched Newcastle play. Who did we play that day? Shoot, I'm trying to remember.
Um,
It doesn't matter.
no. But I was gonna say because I have a friend that do a Premier League podcast. He's from
Yep.
San Diego, and he was a diehard San Diego Loyal fan, and then they got eliminated basically right after
Yeah.
this. So he
No,
was like,
they folded at the end of the season.
yeah,
Of last season, their owner said, "Look, I'm going to
yeah.
sell the rights to the team. We're going to cease operations at the end of the
And he
2020
was like,
season."
he was like so upset. He's like, why can't we just be like the English league that if you're that bad, you
You get
get
relegated.
relegated. You get relegated
Yep.
instead of just closing the team. And that's one of the things that stops American teams from. I mean, we'll never see it, right? I mean, we're just not. I mean, Newcastle was invented 160 years, 150
Yeah.
years ago. So, but if we ever in the future that we're never going to be able to actually see some heritage, have a San Diego Loyal 100-year anniversary, you got
Right.
to be able to establish like your team. You got to have some kind of organization that if not, it just all these teams are new. And St. Louis right here, I support them. uh
Yep.
I don't really go to the games a lot, but I just support them. But like, I mean, they were invented last season,
Right.
and now they're first. They ended up first in the conference, and
Yeah.
it's kind of
But
weird, man, how things work.
same thing. San Diego, San Jose Earthquakes are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. They were one of the founding clubs of the North American Soccer League back in 1974.
That's a big deal
Yeah, but
in
of
America.
course when NASL folded, the San Jose Earthquakes went away for 20 to 15 years, and then they came back in 2000. First they were the San Jose Clash.
Right.
So nice to meet you again, because the last game you went to home is in 5 minutes. Yes. Hi, Lewis. Hey. So I guess
you remember him?
I do. It's hard to say I remember everybody. I might not remember their names. I'll remember their faces.
Lewis is a big fan, man, of the show.
We met lots of people on that last trip in May. And I'm delighted to say that my wife and I are returning again at the end of March. We're going to go to the West Ham game and the Everton game, the back-to-back home games that weekend. So, and we'll be meeting up with John O'Hare in Newcastle again. So we'll be looking to get together with lots of people. Ian and Ian Davison and James Rainey of the Rainey Toon Talk. We'll get together with them.
Oh yeah.
So I think the big thing was on the summer series, the tour on the East Coast. We went to all 3 cities. We drove between the cities. We drove from Philadelphia to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta back to New Jersey. I'll tell you what, that tailgate in Philadelphia was something else. Holy moly. I have not seen groups of black and white jerseys in those numbers other than on Tyneside. It was phenomenal. Wow. There must have been, 700-800 Newcastle fans inside, a barricaded little, underneath the solar panel in the,
was it like when you guys went from different states, was it you and John in the same vehicle, or like you and
no, John flew between sites. It was me and Shade and Eddie who did the driving.
Okay. So you didn't take the wife then?
I'm sorry?
You didn't take the wife then?
No, but my wife and I and our 3 kids were also big in the local theater community.
Okay.
So my wife and my youngest were actually in the Addams Family that summer. No, was it Addams Family? I'm trying to remember which show it was. They were closing a show the weekend of that tour. So my wife couldn't get away. No, it was the beginning of, it was rehearsals for the Addams Family, and my youngest was in a summer camp that was also doing a show, and the performances were that weekend. So one of us responsible parents had to go and see the theater show. Come on now. I mean, what kind of parents would we be? But it was holding to the promise again of if Newcastle comes to the United States, I don't care where they are, I'm going to go. And
no, I was going to go this preseason. It just happened before, obviously, the Premier League, and I don't know. At some point, I tell everybody this, because when they ask me to go on trips, it almost seems like my wife is always about to give birth every time. and now that you're about to go there, I say, you know what, I need to go there. I need to go there around this time. Well, my new baby is about to be born in March, so and it's tough. I guess I could go, but me leaving my wife with 2 kids and a brand new baby, probably not the wisest idea. But yeah,
I know that feeling well.
So at this point, I'm struggling with that. But no, it'd be a dream of mine to go to Newcastle right now, meet my idol. Now, you got a funny story of Solano that I think I remember hearing.
So when we were on our honeymoon, we were invited to. So the club said they would love to have us out at Little Benton to go to the maybe it was Chesterley Street back then. I can't remember. Anyway, they would like us to come and watch training. And we said that would be awesome. But that morning, the morning after we were in the newspaper, and after we were on BBC, and after we were on ITV, all of a sudden Sky Sports got interested in wanting to be out there, or at least that's what the club told us. So we were told that we couldn't go out to training. They didn't want the distraction. So we were invited to come up to the club and get as many autographs as we wanted. And it was also spring break for the local school kids. So, there's 30-year-old me and a whole bunch of little kids all standing in line trying to get autographs. And Nobby Solano showed up for training that day. And he it was in the news while we were there. He'd gotten his driver's license taken away for drink driving. It was, he'd gone out to dinner, had a couple of glasses of wine. He was buzzed driving, and because he was buzzed driving, he got pulled over and he lost his license for a year. So when he arrived, he was driven by a van. So it was, like a minivan, and he was sitting in the back seat of the minivan. And when he pulled up, he was playing his trumpet. And he just got out
making an announcement.
He was also very and such a cool guy as well. So he got out, he gave us an autograph. We met Aaron Hughes, we met Nico Stabizas, who we connected with again when we were in Newcastle back in March. Shola Amiobi, who that's my wife's favorite all-time favorite Newcastle player. And we got to see Shola in each of the cities on the tour. We saw him in Philadelphia. We saw him again in Atlanta. He FaceTimed with my wife outside the pub in New York City because it was my wife's birthday the day that they were there. So that was cool. I think the biggest one for me, Alan Shearer, has been my favorite Newcastle player, simply because again, a Geordie boy who came home.
Right.
He could have gone to Manchester United. He could have gone anywhere, but Newcastle spent a world record £15 million back then and brought him home. And he spent, he got his testimonial. He spent 10 years at the club. He was a runner-up, an FA Cup runner-up twice, but other than that, they didn't win anything. But he's always been my favorite player because he's a Geordie. And when we were on our honeymoon, he came out for training, and I yelled out to him, and he heard me, and then he comes over, and I asked him for his autograph, and he asked me where I was from. I said California. He said, "Oh yeah, you two are on your honeymoon. I read about you in the newspaper yesterday."
Yeah. Wow.
So
that is crazy, man.
It's good stuff. So
yeah,
and when you're there, Chris, and you'll see this. You will see this someday. When you're on Tyneside, it's just the entire community is wrapped up in the club. I mean, the whole city is black and white, and they're all such lovely, warm, funny, life of the party, individuals. They're such good, fun people to be around, and it's easy to make friends because it's just you get to know people. You buy them a drink, they buy you a drink. You hang out and you get to know people. And like I said, now we've been back a couple of times, and it's so much fun to get together with them and reconnect. And of course, now that social media is what it is, it's like you never lose touch because you constantly follow each other on social media, either Instagram or Twitter or whatever, or whatever, X or whatever you want to call it now. You're connected. Once you've made that connection, it's that yes, Alan turned down Man United in order to go. Yep. Expecting is the worst time.
Yeah,
that one's for you, Chris. I know. Like I said, I've got three. I know exactly what you're doing.
I have to suffer it quietly, man. I can't tell my wife. I cry about it. I can't go to Newcastle. She'll be like, okay. I mean, that's not really in her top 10 list of things to do. But I want to ask you this because obviously we're both American. I made a video of earlier today about the fan advisory board, and there was an American lady from New York City that was selected. You already know. And I
know
personally
her.
believe
I met her for the first time in Atlanta, and then she helped organize the club event at Peter Dillon's on 36th in New York City. So she's been instrumental in helping broaden Newcastle's fan base in the tri-state area in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
What do you feel about some Newcastle fans that believe that you need more time, more experience when it comes to having some sort of being an advisor, I guess you can say, for the fan base, and a lot of people. She took a lot of heat on social media, on
She did.
Twitter,
Yeah.
which, by the way, it's never fair to go online, and people have it's never right to do that.
Keyboard warriors are the worst. Agreed.
Yeah, and but what do you think on that? That some Geordies that live abroad, maybe they deserve
it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged
Yeah.
sword. Let's be honest. It's a fan advisory board. It has 9 members on it. 8 of them are going to be folks from Newcastle. People who have followed Newcastle their entire lives.
Mhm.
They chose a relatively new fan to represent the club internationally, and she just happens to be an American. She just happens to
Right.
be a fan who has become a fan since the takeover. But let's be honest. She's a lawyer. She's she's a smart lady, and she has lots of connections within the greater, like I said, the tri-state area in New York City. So I can see why she would be an attractive choice to the club to help get things done. I mean, who knows? We're all very excited about this fan zone, right? At St. James's Park, right? In Strawberry Place. What's to say that, because of her experience legally, we could see a Newcastle fan zone in New York City, and
True.
knowing the connections, or having the connections that she has in the United States. Is that an advantage to Newcastle? Certainly.
Yeah.
I saw her. She was talking with many members of the Newcastle entourage. So there's always something in the mix. I can see why folks from, say, Malaysia or Saudi Arabia or Germany or Thailand or Sweden, a number of fans that we've met during our travels, who might be bent out of shape about the international representation on the fan advisory board being an American. Again, it's a double-edged sword.
But I agree
ahead.
with the fact that they could target countries that could bring in income quickly. And to be honest with you, the United States is that.
Yep.
And like Dubai could be another one, places like that. And to be honest with me, I don't necessarily.
Asia is
Exactly.
huge. Yep.
Yeah. And I do believe that the club, to be able to get income in, they need to officialize these groups, and obviously the members get to pay a fee, and the club gets, obviously this income to help. If they do that throughout the world, they're going to create, and that's going to help with FFP and all that stuff.
Yep.
I feel like it would be amazing. I mean, I live in a remote area, so I don't know who I'd be going to, but if they open one up in St. Louis, I'd probably be sign up for that one. But anyway, really, I mean, I would definitely like to help out, and fans all over the world, I'm sure, wouldn't mind. I mean, you pay $10, $20 on Netflix. I'll pay whatever on whatever it is.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, we're all in it together. So the fact of the matter is, Natalie is now going to be our mouthpiece on the fan advisory board. So if you've got an idea, or you've got a complaint, or you've got something you want to get into the Newcastle realm, that she's going to be our conduit. So and then on top of that, you got to remember, these people that have been appointed to this board, they're going to be, they're not permanent positions. They'll be on the board for a number of years, 1, 2, 3 years. I can't remember what the term is to be on the fan advisory board. You can gain a lot of knowledge in those couple of years, and then another person is going to get the opportunity to do the same thing. And the most important thing is to build on whatever progress that you can make in the time that you're on the board. So I'm excited for Natalie. Am I disappointed that, a fan of the club, for 30 years that happens to be American didn't get the opportunity? Sure, but
Yeah.
maybe I got the email and I just missed it. I don't know. I'm not going to be upset about it. I feel
Right.
bad for Natalie having taken the brunt of
Yeah,
of
that's unfair.
of, of people's disappointment, but at the same time, get over it. Get over it, and let's get
Yeah.
behind her. Let's get behind the fan advisory board, because the club is trying to do something good.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I got for this first show, I got how many? 1, 2, 9 fire questions for
Okay,
you. Quick answers, but
sure.
I did this. I don't know if you watched the interview with Steve Wraith and Stu Penman yesterday. It was amazing to sit down and I got him. I gave him these questions and I put him against the rope. So I'm going to do the same thing with you,
Okay.
and see how it goes. So choose between going to your kid's first birthday party, or a Champions League final that Newcastle's playing in. Same day. You cannot change the date of your kid's birthday party. This is cutthroat, man.
Chris, you and we're kindred spirits, my friend. And I know that we better be present at that first birthday party. Now that we have the ability to watch a Champions League final that Newcastle's playing in our pockets, it's easier now to do it that way. So
Yeah.
I am going to be honest and say I would be at my kid's first birthday party. I know how that would go down in this house. So
Complete the phrase. Newcastle will win the Premier League in
2025.
Hey, that's next year, man. I like it. I like it. Choose. You got to take this deal. Newcastle wins the FA Cup, and Sunderland wins the Premier League. Do you take that deal? And Newcastle hasn't won anything yet. It's the same thing as right now.
Understood. I say yes, because winning any trophy is what you want. You want to win a trophy.
That's a tough one.
That said, will I be upset? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you, who's your idol? You said Shearer.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But there are lots of them. I mean, and I've met quite a few of them, and they're all, again, just great guys. I will not say that I've come away meeting a former Newcastle player, a current Newcastle player. I have never walked away from them not feeling like they weren't genuinely interested in meeting a fan from America. Never have had a bad experience meeting one. I met David Kelly in the Strawberry Pub when we were there in May, and there's a hero, and he was genuinely chuffed to how did you, same question, how did you become a Newcastle fan, that kind of thing. Right. So it's always good. Yep.
Big up cockeyed Cyclops. That's not a good thing.
Cockeyed Cyclops.
that's not a good man. Yeah, that's not a good thing at all. Big up to you, man. Thank you for being on the shows. It's nice to see Newcastle content here in the USA. By the way,
I gotta go find that guy. I gotta follow him.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure you want to be near that guy. But I will get to everybody's comments. The comments highlight, so no worries about that. Just keep on commenting. And what is something that you hate the most that surrounds Newcastle? There's got to be something you dislike. Maybe the media, maybe the coverage, some of the things the fans do. Maybe some protagonist in the club.
No, again, it's the keyboard warriors.
Okay.
The folks who get upset about little things, and it becomes a tempest in a teacup. It just, we're all in it together. Come on, guys, let's just water down a duck's back. I could throw cliche after cliche about it. Just in the grand scheme of things, is it really all that important? It's you get when you have things like what's going on in other parts of the world where you got people, dying and that kind of stuff. It puts the game into perspective. Is it really all that important? I think that's probably my biggest gripe, is that yes, this is for some, this is the number one thing in their life, and they'll protect that to the hilt. But in the grand scheme of things, it's little things. And my love for Newcastle my love for Newcastle United is well justified. At the same time, I am more than willing to lay that down when the time is right, if that makes sense. I just,
yes,
that's the thing that bugs me the most, is the folks that just get bent out of shape for really no good reason. Just
a big shout out to Billy Trey, man. Of course, you already know Billy Bob from the Tune Review. He was on the show as a guest. He is one of the most knowledgeable and sharp guys that are out there. And big up to him, man. He said, yeah, is a comment says, you wouldn't want to be next to the cockeyed Cyclops.
that's exactly where my mind went when I read the first comment. I'm sitting there going, I there's got to be a reason behind that.
Good, man.
But Billy just put it in perspective.
Yeah, that's man, that is dangerous. That's like one hell. People get really creative with these names. And let me tell you something. You got to be careful what sometimes those names are meant to get the presenters and the hosts. Yeah. And you got to be careful what you're. Big up Billy, man, in the Tune Review, of course, doing great content out there. I got another one. So I didn't do these with Billy. So maybe in the next time we're on the sit down, we're gonna do, because this is fun. This is fun to put protagonists on the rope. And right now, he's Dan is dodging me. But current St. James's Park or a new St. James's Park, but obviously in a different location.
I don't know how you call it St. James's Park if it's not in the same location. Okay. It is the heartbeat of the of that city. It's the cathedral on the hill. It is the spiritual home of Newcastle United. You can do all of these things. I would respect that Merdad and Amanda and Jamie and the PIF. They're going to exhaust every possibility to expand the current St. James's Park to its greatest potential.
Yeah.
When I look at, clubs like the Bernabeu and the Camp Nou and, those stadiums, we're talking 80, 85, 100,000 people. Do we need a stadium that's going to equal Wembley, for instance? If we have a fan base that requires that amount of room, and we cannot expand Newcastle or St. James's Park any further than where it is now, then come on. Logic says you have to build a new stadium, and
that's a very good perspective, because this is the most divided that you're going to get fans. I mean, some fans say no, like yourself. Some fans say, hey, it's just a throne. It's just right there. We can move right there. And I forgot what the name that
Lisa's Park
that Steve was mentioning, Steve Wraith. And it's just, you're never going to be able to please everybody at some point.
And for back in 1995, 96, 97, when they were considering a new stadium in Lisa's Park and got shut down, the city council came back and said, no, that is property that we will not make available. Now we're 30 years forward, and as
on the hill,
as AC/DC says, money talks. So
so I love me some AC/DC. You already know, but that is a pretty divided question amongst fans. Greatest moment as a fan that you have experienced in your lifetime?
Greatest moment, oh goodness. So for me, seeing Alan Shearer score in the Gallagate on my honeymoon was pretty wild. I said this not long ago. I got to see the Champions League game against Leverkusen in Leverkusen back in 2003. Seeing that victory live was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Greatest moment. I think probably my greatest moment watching Newcastle live or on television. I think. Good Lord, Chris, that's a hard
Tough.
one. No. I remember tearing up
There we
when
go.
Sir Bobby Robson made his final appearance in a wheelchair
Ah,
at St. James's Park. I remember that
wow.
having shook the man's hand, only 4 or 5 years before that. That was hard. Tiote's equalizer against Arsenal, another phenomenal, Alan Shearer breaking Jackie Milburn's record. I mean, all of those things. For me, the honeymoon on Tyneside, getting to meet so many lovely people and still being friends with them today, 22 years later, and getting to shake hands with people like Alan Shearer and Sir Bobby Robson and Craig Bellamy and Shola
That's
Ameobi.
big.
I won't trade those memories. So
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's difficult because I've never been to Newcastle and I've never been to St. James's Park. So I feel like for me to give that answer, I need to wait a little bit. I need to wait
you
until I
will
get there.
you will.
Because to me, the greatest moment will be watching a game at St. James's Park. As
I,
crazy as it is, man. Because like you just said, you shook Sir Bobby Robson's hand,
yep.
and to me, I take little things that sometimes may not people don't think about or may not mean much to other people. The fact that you have seen him and touched him, and I will never be able to do that. It kills me. You know what I'm saying?
My friend Derek from Malaysia, the Manchester United supporter from college, when I put that picture on Facebook, and that was a decade after we met him. He was just like, holy shit, I can't believe you did that. And I said, well, social media wasn't social media back then. We didn't share it immediately. We don't have the immediacy like we do now with Twitter and Instagram and that kind of stuff. So when the picture finally broke, when we found that picture and shared it, people are all just like, holy crap, you accomplished something that I've
Yeah, man.
followed Newcastle for 50 years, and I've never gotten a chance to meet Sir Bobby. And of course now he's been gone for
A long
15
time.
years now. So
That is true.
remember, Cup winners play the Premier League winners in the following season. That's a great perspective to have, Billy. Yep, there's the answer.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I was gonna ask you now. Let's get back into this. We're gonna do the full match review tomorrow
Okay.
at 9 p.m.
Yep.
UK, and it's gonna be, oh my gosh! Every
1
time I think
1 o'clock Pacific.
there we go.
4 o'clock Eastern. 3 o'clock your time.
There we go. Yes, thank
There
you.
you go. You bet.
I'm the worst, and we are the worst in America. But then again, they have to because whatever.
For me, it only screws me up when daylight savings time converts, because
Yeah.
there's a time when England is 7 hours behind us or ahead of us, or they're 9 hours ahead of us. I can't remember which is which, but it always screws me up because
Yeah.
it used to be the same time, and then we as Americans changed ours, so
What
you can't go
what
any bigger than
do you
90,000.
think? Do you
Yeah.
think that? Do you think that we can win the FA Cup this season?
With the players that are injured now that are coming back, um, I give us a good I put us a good shout in. Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were in good shape for the Carabao Cup last year. With the team playing the way that they were playing at that time, I had every expectation of going into Wembley and walking away with a win. That it didn't happen. Maybe we peaked too soon last season. But
Right.
then again, we took that disappointment and then focused that energy into making it into the Champions League, which we did. And then this season has just bit us in the ass. I heard the commentators talking about today. There are lots of teams in the Premier League this season who have had long injury lists, but I don't think that they've been as prolonged as ours have been. I mean, losing a player like Jacob Murphy, who 3 years ago was on the scrap bin. No one wanted to see him. No one thought he was, worth anything. Look at what Eddie Howe has done with the players that were at the club when he arrived. I've been saying for a long time we need more than Wilson and Isak, because if both of those guys go down, who plays up front? We don't have anything. I'm holding out hope at this moment that it's only a couple of days, 72, 96 hours left in the transfer window. I'm hoping that this summit at Annick Castle is actually is actually meaning something. The fact that we didn't see Lascelles and Miggy today in the squad in an FA Cup fixture gives me pause, makes me wonder, are there transfers in the works? I think this is a good time to be in the FA Cup, and there was a survey in the Chronicle earlier in the season. How far do we want to go in the Champions League? Just playing in the Champions League was something else this season, because it's been 20 years since we did it. Yep. As we dropped out of the Champions League, as we dropped out to the Carabao Cup, we can now focus energies where they need to be focused, and we got to get injured players back out on the pitch. And every step towards that FA Cup final, man, just every step.
That would be awesome, man. I mean,
unfortunately, we've lost Joe Linton now for a number of months.
Yeah,
possibly for the rest of the season. Possibly he may have already played his last game, because he might be another one that gets that's sacrificed to.
I think he's the one that we need to focus on keeping. And
agreed.
Some of them will leave. It is what it is. Yep. But I think that Joe Linton should be one of that we work on hard to meet the expectations, because at the same time though, like, we renewed Guimaraes at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
He's friends with Joe Linton.
Yep.
He's talking to his friend, and he's like, "Look, this is what I get. What you get." I mean, it's just it's regular, and he might be just saying, "Look, I'm just trying to get what I think is right." Now again, it's negotiations. I mean, I'm not just going to pay you whatever you want.
Right.
You know how it works. So I think he can definitely renew his contract.
Yeah.
I'm not, but
he loves the club. He loves the club.
Yeah.
I do not think he's making. I don't think this is throwing the toys out of the pram. I don't think this is pitching a fit and saying, "I want more. I want." He's looking for what he deserves. And let's be honest, in terms of most improved players since Eddie Howe came to the club, is there anybody else?
He's pretty.
And I actually cried at St. James's Park when I heard it. Yep.
I will say, that was one of the most emotional games for me. I was at work watching the first ever Champions League in my. It's crazy to say because we haven't been there in 20 years. So the first time for me as somebody with common sense, I guess you could say. And man, it was emotional. It was emotional.
And playing a team like PSG in the first game. Come on. Well, not the first game, but the first home game. Yeah. Good Lord, man!
But with that atmosphere, no way we were going to lose. That's just no way.
No way. I had it on my laptop. Yeah.
Billy says Dan is right. I equate Jacob, Fabian, and Sean. Is forgotten man come good.
Yep.
Yep. Kind of like Doug Williams back in the 80s or the Skins. Hopefully they can bring us the silver. Yeah, man. I think we can do it. I mean, obviously it's not going to be an easy job. Never going to be an easy job. But it's just one step at a time. The team that's in front of you, that's who you need to take care of. And if we start getting these players back, again, you're not going to have Joe Linton, but you got Guimaraes, you got Longstaff. To me, play okay to me. Today, I mean, I think it was. Again, I criticized Longstaff a lot before, and Dan Burn as well. And in today's match, I just feel like I needed to praise them because they got the job done. Actually, that Longstaff goal is not easy. And Burn,
not at all.
As well.
And I was just grateful that in the FA Cup we don't have VAR because
you like it?
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with VAR. I have a problem with the way VAR is used. My feeling is this: If
Go ahead,
a
there.
referee makes a call on the pitch and then VAR comes up, in this day and age, it feels like the referee doesn't have a choice but to overturn the original call because he has to. My feelings are, have some stones, stand up for your decision. If this is the call you made on the field, and you've now seen 6 different angles of the same thing, and you still feel justified that it's the right call, then make the right call. Don't be wishy-washy about it.
They have no personality, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And you trying to bring perfection to a game that's run by humans.
Yep.
And humans screw up.
I exactly
the most positive.
Yep. I like goal line technology. I like that. That's just knowing that the whole of the ball goes over the. There was all the whining about whether the ball went out in the Arsenal game. And you're sitting there going, okay, the sphere of the ball has to be 100% over the line, and it didn't. So just get over it. And I've got lots of Arsenal friends. And they're still mad about it.
Yeah, they're still complaining about it, man. You could fill up Lake Mead back again with those tears.
Exactly.
Come on, man. It was crazy. At some point, you just got to, because it wasn't a call. Like there's a few calls compared to the one the penalty that we got against PSG. The PSG were able to tie the game. That just can't happen at all.
No, agreed.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a mistake.
No.
The same thing with Liverpool offside at the beginning of the season against Spurs. I mean, the dude is literally onside, so there's no debate. But Arsenal,
I would say the same thing about Isak's debut at Anfield. He scored twice in that game. One of them was taken back because his big toe may have been offside. But I'm sitting there looking at the footage going, can you tell me with definitive proof that his boot was over the line, or was it the shadow of his boot? And those are the ones that we can be angry about. It's just, again, the game is human. And if we try to make it machine-like, it just takes the drama and the romance out of the game.
Yeah. Let me just highlight some comments real quick before we go, because we've been streaming all day long, man. And plus tomorrow we got the full match review and analysis. That's gonna be cool. We got a panel coming up. My name is Chris. News breaking online. Trips has cemented his future on the tour. Yeah, of course.
Good deal.
Courtesy Winnie Moore US Mags. A big up to you, man. I appreciate that. Who cares even if he was? I guess the question is, when do you become a fan? So, it doesn't matter if you become a fan today. The more the merrier, basically. Yes, sir.
The entertainers. Yeah.
Jordan Z, does Dan remember the? Oh yeah, we saw that one.
We got that one. Yep.
Jordan Almiron's wife has posted photos of Instagram showing illness. Yeah, I mean, he might be just having the cold, man.
I saw that too. Yep.
He can't even get sick no more, man. Jordan Z. Yeah, big up to him.
Thanks.
Lewis. You can get everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's crazy to me. I mean, we can, but that's one of the things too, though. People, if my counter when people say I'm a season ticket holder and I spend all this money, dude, the amount of money that I personally spent on ESPN Plus, on Paramount to watch the Champions League, on YouTube TV to watch the Premier League, and on Peacock to watch the Premier League. It's just insane. So just doing the math, it's about the same. It's crazy.
Agreed.
And I don't even get to see the players. Ian says, "Is that page 3 of you still legally downloadable?"
I have it.
Well, he's got it on his profile. On his Twitter, right?
I've got it, Ian.
Go to his Twitter. What's your Twitter handle, man?
Laszlo325.
Laszlo325.
It was before Superfan Dan. I've been Laszlo325 on Twitter for years. So, as I remember you and John talk when I was in my blue. Yep. I remember. Yep.
That is true. Stephen Fields tomorrow. I think this conversation they were having on there. Ian, is McDonald's shit in America as well? I had McDonald's this morning. I don't know.
It is, but when you want something else and it's 11 o'clock at night and everything else is closed,
it is crazy. That's what they're the most genius people in the world. They made up that formula. People, I don't care if they like it or not, they will be hungry in the middle of the night.
Absolutely.
And they will come and then get this burger. Yeah, man.
And when you're drunk, there's nothing better than Taco Bell. I hate to say it. But
Yeah.
there's nothing better than Taco Bell. You get that first Mexi melter, that first greasy super burrito supreme in there. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it starts soaking up the stuff, and you're ready to go again. You
That
may
is
pay
true.
for it later,
Yeah.
and
That
when you get to be my age, Chris, that happens faster.
I mean, I need to stop eating like that stuff now because
Agreed.
the
Yep.
doctor said cholesterol's too high, man. You're too
Yep.
young. And man, I love food, man.
Yeah.
Lewis, if it helps the club, I wouldn't be too angry if they had to rename St. James's Park to yeah. At the end of the day, people will love it. We'll call it St. James's Park. It does it really doesn't change what people will call it. Now,
Yeah.
people had a problem with direct sports, obviously, because of
Well, that's because that guy made arbitrary decisions without discussing it or anything, because he owned the club. He owned the club outright. He could make his decisions the way he wanted to make his decisions, and he just did it the wrong way. The guy was Mike Ashley is supposedly a terrific businessman.
yeah.
He's just a shit human. That's all.
Yeah, that's the way.
You
That's
know,
just the way it is, man.
but
All right,
most of the guys, when they get up to that dollar figure,
they lose it.
Ian says share is the most
sorry.
improved. I'll go with that. I'll go with
Sorry,
that too.
Billy, yeah, having a shadow offside is the worst we've seen. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that is true.
Well, I just for me, I thought the whole thing was offside. Was the advantage was supposed to go to the attacker. So
Yeah.
if you've got a defender and an attacker in line with each other, and the attacker's pinky finger is
no advantage.
millimeters in front of his knee, just come on, man. Just
One of the most ridiculous calls I've seen it 5 years ago. It's like, say this is where the attacker's supposed to go to score.
Yep.
Well, he was facing this way, and his foot was in front of ahead of the defender. So when he realized the ball was going this way, he was facing that way. So he just turned.
Right.
When he was faster, got the ball, scored. But because he was facing this way and his foot was in front, that was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And it was for a Copa Libertadores South American competition. But it was insane, man.
we've all seen the calls. We've seen so many BS calls. It's just what can you do? It's so yeah.
Listen, we had a great show.
Yes,
It's been terrific. It was Superfan Dan. Of course, you can find him at Laszlo.
At Laszlo 325
on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yes,
I am at Superfan Dan 831 on Instagram.
You can find them, and of course, we're gonna be weekly. The American Magpie Show. We got to grow the fan base worldwide, especially here in the United States. And I appreciate all of you, English folk, your support. It's been terrific. Obviously, the channel is basically ran by English people. That's to be expected. But we're gonna do our best to spread the word about Newcastle United. So we're gonna get more fans. We're gonna get John O'Hare on the show. He already told me anytime. We just got to give him a little time, to schedule. And over here, super fan Dan, he's got millions of American Newcastle fans to come on. So
I'll appreciate you up, Chris.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate everybody's support. Smash the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're new to the show. And yeah, man. Dan, what you want?
Thanks for having me on. Let's do this again.
Yes, sir. Next week we'll be back with the American Magpies.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow, full-time review. Dan, Philip from Toon Tactics TV, and Paul Clark. We're going to be live tomorrow. So It's going to be great. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace out, guys.